Gentlemen, if y'all would come on up and close, and we're going to wrap this thing up in a few minutes.
Can't even remember if you're sitting with it here.
Gentlemen, I'll allow you to share any thoughts that you would as we close out these proceedings. I think you understand the passion that we have. I want to make it extremely clear that we are not going away. This is not a one-time hearing. This is not going to just, Senate and House Commerce Committee did their duty and had a hearing. We don't operate like that. We're going to follow through. And so if you would, share your thoughts with us, and we'll close out.
Well, I do appreciate the opportunity to be here, and we have definitely learned lessons that we can do things different and improve on. I want to say that I've heard a lot of frustration about us not having people there, and we have had people there. One of the things that we've learned is we need to do a better job of being visible. We have got signs ordered for our contractors, so they should get here the middle of the week. The trucks will be branded at that point, so you should be seeing the trucks that are working on our lines out there. Not that they're not already working now, just so many of them are contractor resources that they don't have our brand on them. There's been a lot of talk about our plan. I can assure you we've got a plan. We've had a plan. We've executed the plan. I'm doing a poor job of articulating the details, but it does involve pre-planning, pre-staging materials, calling up contractors and having them ready to come in as soon as we can get back into the market. All those key components that make a successful disaster plan, and we have worked that plan many times in the past. The location on Preon Lake Road, the store that is currently closed. Senator Johns, I know you were told that we'd open up the end of the month. I'm not sure if you were told that one of the main reasons it's not open right now is only one employee that works in that store was not displaced. And we believe it'll be then before we have enough employees back in to staff it. The trucks there, a lot of that, we have set up our central command center in that location, so there's a lot of leadership in there, and there's a lot of the assessment team that is going in and out there at that location, so that accounts for a lot of the truck volume there. We set up a Wi-Fi, open access Wi-Fi hotspot there, so people who didn't have access to the internet but needed connectivity could come to our parking lot and access the internet free of charge. We realize that is a very small gesture, but it's something that we could do, and more are intended to go out through the community. I'm personally working on those. There's a technology that we have taken from our East Coast markets where we mount Wi-Fi hotspots in the air on poles throughout the system, and they have limited range, but if we can find good public venues to put them where people can go there and park, that's our intention. The problem is they've never been utilized in the West, and so there's certain servers and configurations that have to be completed before we can actually make them work. We've made a huge amount of progress the last few days in getting a unit to work on a test bench. So now, with that victory, I can move forward with deploying those in different locations, primarily in Calcasieu Parish, but in the other markets that still haven't recovered to the extent that they need to. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I failed to address that I've heard out of your concerns. I guess the main thing is just to let you know that we do hear you, and we are responding, and we need to do a better job of communicating that response and to being being visible in those efforts, and we intend to do that very thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ayers.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for having us here today. And if we got into talking about the situation too quickly about answering questions and didn't fully express our genuine apologies for the situation that we're in, I can promise you, when I was listening to Miss Davidson from Big Brothers and Big Sisters, our company is very much one that celebrates diversity. We realize people come from different backgrounds. We realize the challenges they face. We've set up an employee relief fund to help our own employees who've lost their homes during this. I mean, this is people where we live and work in these communities that work for us. We get these challenges. I just want to say that for the schools, we're going to do everything we can. We're going to get you the service you expect on September the 28th. I mean, as I indicated, Mr. Goei, Dexter conveyed that very clearly to us. But as a person who worked as a congressional staffer for 8 years, the reason I did it for so long was that I like constituent service. And I completely get where you guys are coming from. You're hearing from constituents, and you need your answers. And I can tell you that we get that message. Our executive team gets that message. I know when Representative Tarver asked what my 3 priorities would be earlier, my 3 priorities, my first one would be to make sure that our elected officials have a clear line of communication to us and that they understand that we recognize their constituents are hurting. We recognize that they need to get the service back as quick as possible. But also, I would say another thing is we want you to understand this is 4,700 miles worth of plant. We hear over and over that this was rightly so, this was the most severe wind event to ever impact Louisiana. So please know this is a challenge for us. We're going to get better. I don't want to be kicked out of Louisiana. This is a huge market for us. This is 150,000 subscribers. I mean, next to Texas, that's probably as big as we get other than West Virginia. I mean, that is impressive. We want to help you. We hear you. Please know that you can Mr. Chairman, last night I believe you were going to distribute our contact, our cell numbers, whatever it takes. Representative Owen has been a true example of someone who we reached out to earlier. We've had communication. He responded to the initial emails. I mean, I can only tell you when people are saying we didn't respond early, that's not the case. We can document the emails we sent. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's hundreds of stakeholders. If an email address was wrong in there potentially, I want to apologize for that. That happens. But please understand, if I could leave you with anything, and I know we've been here a while, just know that we get the message. We want this to get better. It's not acceptable that you have constituents saying that they're being hung up on and spoken to rudely. I can tell you even now that was escalated, as I said earlier, by the CEO this morning, that to communicate to our call agents that the proper protocol for addressing hurricane issues. I apologize that you called somewhere and someone did not. Maybe it's a new employee, but if they didn't recognize there's a hurricane here, that's unacceptable to us. It's unacceptable to even suggest that they would have to send documentation of pictures. I mean, this is a absolute natural disaster of epic proportions. Know that we get that. Know that our Director of Construction Operations, Senior Vice President nationwide, Mike Alexander, is going to be here next week. I'm told it's Monday. I don't know. I understand there's a Wilfred or a hurricane that I don't know what that means for this area just yet. Hopefully it means nothing for this area. But know that Mr. Goey's coming. We hear you. He's going to be on the ground, and I want to thank you for your time today. I recognize it's not an easy hearing to hold, but I do understand it. Like I say, I come from the other side of the dais sitting in the staff seat, so I completely get it.
It's a lot easier to sit up here than where you are. So, for the record, Tropical Storm Beta just formed in the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
And it's going to hit land somewhere in the Gulf region. We don't know where. Maybe Texas, maybe Louisiana. We don't know where. Could be a hurricane by that time. But it's official. It's formed. So get prepared. My heart goes out to your employees who are displaced, who lost their homes and all that. I spent 38 years in the insurance industry. I just retired. And the way that we react to stuff like this, we bring people in from out of state that were not displaced. We bring people in that can help. So to say that you can't open that Lake Charles office because you have displaced employees, I fully understand. But a company as big as Altice is, and they can't bring in 20 people or 30 people from outside of this area who were not displaced? Come on, we need, look, it's my opinion. I don't think, if I was an employee in that office, I don't know if I'd want to be in there either. So that's how angry people are. So, gentlemen, I think y'all get it. I think Mr. Goei, from our conversation on the phone this morning, I think he gets it, and I look forward to meeting him personally next week. And thank you for coming. To all our members who stuck it out with us today and those that had to leave early, thank you. Chairwoman Davis had to leave. She had a funeral to attend in New Orleans. So I thank everyone for bearing with us, for coming, for asking questions, for having the passion. And those of you that testified and drove a long way, thank you. To our public service commissioners who have sat there in the back, thank y'all for coming, and everyone in this room.